moon was the color of old blood when Elias reached the gates of the Blackwood estate. He was dying. He could feel it in every weak beat of his heart. His own blood was turning thin, watery, useless. Te flyers. Eddie found tucked under his windshield. Wiper promised a miracle the sanctuary. Te cadet. Italiano, a place offering a total transfusion of something they called ancient vitality. Desperation is a powerful motivator, powerful enough to make you ignore the red flags, like the sickly copper moon hanging overhead. A man who introduced himself as Dr. Vane greeted him at the door. His skin was stretched so tightly over his bones it looked like antique parchment, yellowed and dry. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Without much talk, Vane led him down a winding staircase into a basement that smelled of rust and damp earth. The room was a labyrinth of glass pipes, not carrying water, but something else. A liquid so dark red it was almost black pulsed within them, like a network of veins for the house itself. "The donor is ready," Vane whispered, his voice a dry rustle. Before Elias could ask what he meant, two orderlies, silent and grim, strapped him to a cold steel table. Panic began to claw at his throat. This wasn't a clinic. This was a laboratory from a nightmare. Vane approached, holding a needle thicker than any Elias had ever seen, its point glinting in the dim light. He didn't wait for a reply. The needle plunged into Elias's arm, and the transfusion began. It wasn't a feeling of healing. It wasn't the warmth of life returning. It was liquid fire. A searing, agonizing pain shot up his arm and exploded in his chest. But the physical pain was nothing compared to what happened next. As the dark blood entered his heart, his vision fractured. He wasn't just seeing the basement anymore. He was seeing it from somewhere else, from below the floorboards. His mind screamed. Through this new, stolen sight, he saw a hidden subcellar. And in that cellar hung dozens of people, hoosed like ink. Their bodies were pale, drained, suspended from meat hooks like carcasses in a slaughterhouse. Their blood, his blood now, was being siphoned, filtered through a grotesque, massive heart embedded in the very foundation of the estate. It beat with a slow, ancient rhythm, a heart that belonged to something that had never been truly born, something that had been waiting in the earth for a very long time. Elias gasped, trying to pull away, but the straps held him fast. Dr. Vane leaned over him, his face inches from his own. For the first time, Elias noticed the doctor's teeth. They were pointed, like an animal's, and stained a deep, dark red. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Vane hissed, his breath smelling of decay. "The blood doesn't just heal you, Elias. It invites the master in." A scream tore through Elias's mind, but it never reached his lips. His jaw locked shut with an audible crack. He looked down at his own hands and watched in horror as his skin began to shift, losing its color, tightening over his bones, turning the same parchment gray as the doctor's. A horrifying realization flooded what was left of his consciousness. The transfusion wasn't a cure. It was a conquest, an invasion. It was a colonization of his very soul. He could feel his old, thin blood being forcefully expelled, pushed out of his body to spill onto the cold floor in a wasted, pathetic puddle. It was being replaced by the ancient, hungry essence that pulsed from the heart in the cellar. The house was alive, and it was consuming him. He wasn't a patient anymore. He wasn't even a victim. He was becoming a part of the house, another vessel for the master, another parchment-skinned guardian waiting for the next desperate soul to arrive under a copper moon. His consciousness was a flickering candle flame, and the ancient darkness was rushing in to snuff it out forever. He was home.